Our Mission Future AI team checked historical stories of reconciliation between the longtime archenemies Germany, France, and Poland after World War II and the birth of a European Union. We studied reconciliation between the black and white population in South Africa during a visit to Soweto and the Mandela House. We visited the impressive National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C. Reconciliation is achievable. It starts with courage and a master plan. To put an end to a war does require clever diplomacy at the negotiating table and a soul-oriented policy of reconciliation as well, relinquishing hatred and violence and moving towards an honest partnership, even friendship. The logic of the American philosopher Eric Hoffer applies here. A war is only won after you have turned your enemy into a friend. To reach real peace, we need a new dual strategy of power and reconciliation, of tanks and peace pigeons, of deterrence and an outstretched hand. This approach enables us to break the eternal cycle of war and violence and come closer to a true, stable peace. We need reconciliation. We also need a great national reconciliation at home within many torn countries, dominated by inner hostility as well as bitter political or racial polarization among different groups of society, as illustrated currently in the un-United States of America or other democracies. Reconciliation is the ultimate prerequisite for inner peace. Just 3 Golden Global champions, 1 from Africa and 2 from Europe. May 9, 1994. Nelson Mandela was elected as the first coloured president of the Republic of South Africa and propagated a grand reconciliation of the black majority and the white minority after decades of apartheid and oppression. A unique best practice is Germany's reconciliation miracle with France, UK, Poland, the US, Israel, and the Jews after World War II. If you want to study a country that did everything wrong, look at Germany from 1918 to 1945. If you want to learn more about a country that did everything right, look at Germany from 1945 until today. From 1918 to 1990, Germany lost 2 world wars and was ruled by 2 dictatorships, the Nazis and the socialist GDR. A historical disaster for the German people, and as well its neighbours in France, the United Kingdom, Poland, Russia, and other states, as well as the Jewish population. No country in Europe was so entirely devastated after the Second World War 8 May 1945 as Germany, the darkest hour, ground zero. All cities completely destroyed by bombing raids with 6.1 million Germans dead, including 1.1 million civilians. Divided into 3 parts, with the loss of the Eastern Territories to Poland and the USSR, 12 million were expelled and fled to West Germany. The GDR with 18 million as a socialist vassal state of the USSR and new dictatorship. With 300,000 political prisoners and 1,800 refugees dead at the Berlin Wall and the brutal 1,300-kilometer-long Iron Curtain to the west, until reunification in 1990. Free West Berlin was threatened frequently, like during the Berlin Blockade 1948. Well-equipped, nuclear-armed Soviet forces in the GDR. Germany morally bankrupted by the Holocaust after 6 million Jews were killed by Nazi terror. Suspiciously watched by the longtime arch-enemies France and United Kingdom, the opponents in 2 lost world wars. Hour Zero marked the founding of the Federal Republic of Germany in 1949 in Bonn. From then on, the country emerged from the ruins to become a new, prosperous and tolerant society in the West, respected again and surrounded by friends and partners. How did this success come about? Reconciliation played 5 important roles. 1. Reconciling capitalism and socialism by establishing the innovative, balanced social market economy. 2. Reconciliation with the former enemies in the West, mainly France, the United Kingdom, and the United States. 3. Reconciliation with the East, Poland, and even Russia. 4. Reconciliation with the Jewish community and Israel. 5. Reconciliation with soldiers and functionaries of the socialist GDR, the adversary until October 3, 1990, the day of national reunification. All these components of reconciliation laid the foundation for Germany's admission as a respected member of the family of nations after total defeat. Reconciliation paved the way to a new peace order and prosperous European nations, as well as the miracle of the German reunification. The European Union became a golden global champion of reconciliation. 50. Just 5 years after the Second World War, French Foreign Minister Robert Schuman presented the innovative plan of removing all German and French coal and steel industries, essential for weapon production, from national control and transferred to a first European authority. The European Coal and Steel Community, headed by Jean Monnet, was founded in 1951. It developed into the European Economic Community in 1957 and the European Union in 1993. The former arch-enemies Germany, France, Great Britain, and later Poland became partners. For Mission Future, reconciliation is the practical golden path and a multifaceted process forging enemies into opponents and opponents into new friends. Guided by the Golden Global Champions as navigators, we need a practical multi-level approach and learn from the best practices and the positive events in history. It can be achieved by former enemies in wars, different religions fighting for the truth, ethnic or social minorities, or political fanatics. Overcoming hate and frustration. The path of reconciliation leads from violence, hate, and anger to peace and harmony. Moving away from bad to good energies of love and friendship, on a domestic or foreign level. With tolerance and love of humanity. With respect and dignity for all involved. Reconciliation does not mean forgetting the bitter past, but daring to make a new start. Looking for a better future with confidence, with the desire to create a better world for the children without hatred and violence, with common interests, because human beings are egotists. Nothing promotes reconciliation more effectively than the desire to improve your own life. Needed is a clear reconciliation plan. Reconciliation must be taught, learned, and exemplified over and over again, otherwise harmony and peace will perish like a flower without water. Join our action manual reconciliation in missionfuture.com.